So I'm not gonna be like rehearsed with you guys today. I just want to go over a story that we've talked about before, and you should have heard it before all this, And it's probably one of my favorite and most known stories, one of the most known stories in the Bible. Uh, but it's the Prodigal Son. So in Luke 15:11, I'm just gonna read it to you first. It says, Jesus continued, "There was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and set off on a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living." So this guy, he says, "Hey, you know what? I'm not really digging this whole life that I've had anymore. I want to take my inheritance and just head out." And he did that, and he's partying it up. He's having a good life. He's living his best life, as some people say. And then it stopped. And it said after he had spent everything, because he just wasted it all away, there was a severe famine in the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring me the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate." Now, this may sound like a nice story, but when you put it in perspective of you being the lost son, it changes literally everything. It said, the son goes to the father and says, "Father, I've sinned against you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son." And a lot of times I feel like that's what we think. In our day, in our age, when we mess up, when we do things bad, when we fade away or just go off to wild living and we're like, "I can't come back," people will call me a hypocrite. People will say, "I'm not worth anything." Or people will say, "Who is this guy?" And that is completely the opposite of what this father does, and that's the completely opposite what God would do and will do if we're faced with this situation. If we come back to God, He doesn't say, "Yeah, you are worth nothing and you're not worth being called my son." He's that guy running to us in the field. He's that guy saying, "I love this lost son so much that I just can't help but to celebrate." Now the older brother, if we read along here, after it says, "So they began to celebrate," it says in verse 25, "Meanwhile the older son was in the field when he came near the house, and he heard the music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. 'Your brother has come,' he replied, 'and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound.' The older brother became angry and refused to go into the celebration. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, 'Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him.'" This is dangerous. Because I feel like when you've been in Christianity for so long, sometimes you tend to think of yourself as like working your way up the ladder, and so that you're better than people that come along later on, or the people that just turn to God. And God says that you should be happy and want to celebrate with those people who get that share of the inheritance, who get that attention from God. because God loves each person, not just the people that have been with them the whole time. And this is the response the father had to his older son after he said all this stuff. "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." I love this story. I love that response. We should feel that same way. Whenever somebody comes, we shouldn't be like that person, or we shouldn't be like that person. I know what they did. It should be, yes, let's celebrate, because they were dead and now they're alive again. They were lost and they're found.